Norway. This mountainous country reaches from the North Sea to the Arctic, stretching some 1,700 kilometers from head to toe. Home of trolls, raging rivers, fjords, and some other things. About 6 months ago, I signed up for Norway for the Younger Generation, a 6-day holiday road trip organized by the Swedish Motorcycling Association, SMC, for its younger members aged 35 and under. The road trip is meant as a good first step into motorcycle holidaying, but that doesn't mean it'll be easy. With a whopping 2,000 kilometers to cover, and cold, rain, fog, and cloud as our frequent companions, our bodies and our bikes will be tested. But the sights and experiences more than make up for the challenges. New friends, gorgeous, mind-blowing vistas, and endless, winding, perfect roads lay ahead of us. Our journey begins here in Karlstad, near the Norwegian border. We were told to meet up at 11 o'clock at a gas station on the edge of town, where we'd have a driver's meeting and then set off. Our guides for this trip are Matthias and Johan. This is their first time running a trip like this, having inherited the route from a previous organizer. They had already scouted most of it during the earlier months of the summer, and had made a comprehensive schedule for us. Despite the trip being for the younger generation, our guides recognize that we're all responsible adults who know how to ride, so they didn't have any interest in controlling our every move. Instead, they had just a few simple rules. One of our guides would always ride first, and one of them last. That way, we'd never get lost. We'd make frequent fuel stops to make sure everyone had enough gas in the tank, and during these stops, it was mandatory for everyone to refuel. On winding, tight mountain roads, we were to keep distance from each other and go at our own pace. When on bigger roads, we'd use the classic left-right formation. That was pretty much it. After the meeting, we took an hour's break to fuel the bikes, get food, and chit-chat. After that, we settled up and hit the road.
5 minuter till 8! Woohoo!
The beginning of the journey was unremarkable. Leg 1 would take us from Karlstad, across the border, around Oslo, and end up at a hostel at Kongsberg around 5 p.m. Much of this stretch was highway. Highways are usually pretty mundane, but it's always exciting riding in a big group like this, and there was a buzz in the air. If nothing else, just because we were finally underway after months of eagerly awaiting our departure. Once we got to the Norwegian border, I was curious if there would be any red tape. The border between Sweden and Norway is usually super lax, but I didn't know if that still applied when trying to get 20 bikers across at once. As it turns out, all we got was a smile and then a wave, and we were in. The highway continued, and yet, for the first time, it felt like the adventure was finally here, for real. And then something weird caught my eye. What the hell is that? It's like glassed in. A little while later, we pulled off the highway and stopped at this gas station to pick up one final member of our party. Once we passed the Norwegian border, it struck me that the hills were becoming larger and the landscape more dramatic, a sign of things to come. The roads here are notably better than the Swedish ones. The pavement is smoother, it's almost like riding on butter, and there's better things to look at too. Our first thrill was this sharp and unexpected descent. We got another taste of it when we hit a tunnel with a 7% gradient that took us under the Oslo Sound. As we approached the tunnel, there were warning signs all over to stay in a low gear and to keep check of our speed. It had been a long day. Our butts hurt, we were hungry, but mercifully we finally approached our destination. Crossing this river gave me what I thought was the first taste of the wilderness and beauty Norway had to offer. It wasn't even a drop in the bucket of what I'd come to see. And then, finally, our hostel appeared before us. We parked our bikes, and then split into groups of 4 who'd share a room. After tossing our bags into the rooms, we headed down to the local pizza joint, and finally got to sit down after a long day of sitting down. Our first day was behind us, and yet, this was only the beginning.